New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Hey everybody, Tracy Brown here. Welcome to the Inclusive Church, the January 27, 2026 edition. And today the theme is Holocaust Remembrance Day because it just happens to be the United Nations Holocaust Remembrance Day on January 27th. Welcome to Inclusive Church. If it's your first time, every week we get together Tuesdays, noon Mountain Time, to talk about and think about and even recommit to what is important if we are committed to building, growing, sustaining spiritual communities that are examples of unity, harmony, and love. Always talk about church and spiritual community, purposely use the word church in order to reclaim it, to remind us when we say church, we are not talking about a piece of property, the brick and mortar. We are talking about the relationships among people who are committed to learning and sharing and practicing and demonstrating shared spiritual values. And you'll hear me refer to leaders in our churches or leaders in our spiritual communities. And I just try to remember to every week say, when I say leaders, I am not just talking about ministers. That I think most ministers would agree that they would not get much done if there were not a lot of other leaders serving on their boards, coordinating events, teaching classes, being the leaders of volunteer teams, offering their music, their talents, their skills. So this show is about the ways that all kinds of people can contribute to ensuring that your church is inclusive. So, having said all of that, again, if it's your first time, you might be like, and who is this Tracy Brown person? I am the author of a book, Stained Glass Spirit, Becoming a Spiritual Community Where Oneness does not require sameness. And this whole idea that being inclusive is very much like what is pictured by a stained glass window, where there are all these different pieces of glass, different sizes, different colors, different shapes, but they are held together by the black leading, which, if we take this idea and apply it to people, our churches are made up of all different kinds of people who come together and who are held together by the continuity of spirit and God. So why are we talking about Holocaust Remembrance Day today? We are talking about it, number one, because it just happens that we are doing the show on this year on Holocaust Remembrance Day. And feel free to say hello in the chat or in the comment section, depending on which platform you are on. Feel free to ask questions or make comments throughout the show. So, Holocaust Remembrance Day. The United Nations created the Holocaust Remembrance Day really to be sure that there would never be a time when people would forget. And this year, every year there's a theme. This year, the theme is Holocaust Remembrance Day, Holocaust Remembrance for Dignity and Human Rights. Dignity and human rights. And that's perfect in this day and time where all around the world, there are still so many conversations and so many challenges related to ensuring that everyone gets to experience dignity and everyone has access to basic human rights. So it's not political rights, it's not right, it's human rights, the rights to be recognized as a person of worth, a person to be respected. And in all of our new thought practices and principles, that's one of the basics, that Spirit has created every human being with value. Spirit has created every human being as a representation in physical form of itself. Spirit does not make mistakes and has created all different kinds of people, right, to represent itself in the world. And so if you are in a New Thought church, a New Thought community, that is such a basic foundational belief that all of our New Thought denominations practice, follow, and teach. So why not, maybe the question, why not? Maybe you've never even heard of Holocaust Remembrance Day before, and you've been in New Thought for a long time. Well, that's another reason for us to talk about it, even if just for 20 minutes or so today. So, I do need to say this too. So, the United Nations created Holocaust Remembrance Day, and it's remembered in January every year. There is a um, a Jewish celebration in the Jewish faith system, Yom HaShoah, and it is Holocaust Memorial Day. And it is practiced in synagogues and in Jewish community events. And it is at a different time throughout the year, or different time each year. And so you may hear about that. They are not the same. And what we're talking about today is the United Nations celebration, or the United Nations encouragement for people all over the world, regardless of faith and belief system, to remember and to recognize. In fact, on the website, one of the things that is in this year's description on the United Nations website is this, and I want to read it to you because I think sometimes we forget that all paths lead to God, and we want to honor the divinity in all people. And so we start compartmentalizing and saying, oh, well, I don't need to know about that. And so I love that this is available to us. So here's what is on the website. The Holocaust warns us of the deadly consequences of anti-Semitism and hatred, dehumanization, and apathy when left unchallenged. Over 80 years after the Holocaust, we witness daily assaults on our fellow global citizens. Anti-Semitism and hatred surge. Denial and distortion of the Holocaust persists. Remembrance of the Holocaust defies denial and distortion. Remembrance of the Holocaust rejects the falsehoods. Remembrance of the Holocaust confronts hatred. Remembrance of the Holocaust insists on the humanity of its victims. The defense of universal rights is essential for sustainable peace and lies at the heart of the United Nations. In remembering the victims of the Holocaust, we affirm our shared humanity and pledge to defend the dignity and human rights of all. So this is why I wanted to at least take a few minutes today and say, hey, did you know that today is the United Nations Holocaust Remembrance Day? Hey, are you aware that if you just take 5 minutes and to do a meditation or speak a prayer about all human rights, or speak a prayer about the sovereignty and the wholeness of Jewish people, both those who died and those whose families, those who survived and those whose families have members. Like, this is not ancient history. You know, when I go to Egypt and I touch the walls of a temple that was built 4,000 years ago, right? And I think about the wisdom and the intelligence of ancient times, right? That seems ancient to me in the 21st century, to go 3,000 years, back, or 5,000 years back. But going back less than 100 years, going back 80 years, that is not ancient history. It is a part of what has created the lives that we are living now. And if we are not willing to break the pattern, if we are not willing to recognize what happened then and then see the tentacles of that today, then we simply are affirming it's okay, let it be. So, in an inclusive church, and I'm speaking primarily about New Thought congregations or New Thought communities, since we're on the New Thought Media Network, um, it's it's an opportunity. It's not a requirement, but it's an opportunity. It's a reminder on Holocaust Remembrance Day that we care about all of our human family. And it is not okay for us to pretend that what happened to those of Jewish descent and of the Jewish faith to not only have experienced the Holocaust, but right, all of the ripple effects, and to even look today at how anti-Semitism shows up in 21st century culture, to look at how other forms of hatred and power are showing up in our world today. There are many who say so many of the things that are happening in our world today mirror the progression of activities that led to the Holocaust. And so, how are we showing up? How are we showing up? What are we allowing to happen? And in our churches, right, that's the place where we can have this conversation from a spiritual grounding, from a spiritual grounding. Oh, what do I know is true about God? What do I believe is my responsibility if I am truly committed to being God in physical form on earth? How do I respond to what's going on? How do I show up in conversations? What do I do in my community when I notice that some group of people is being disenfranchised, is being targeted, is being removed? All of the questions that when we think about, I've heard people many times. I've heard people say, oh, well, if I had been alive when the Holocaust was happening, I would have spoken up, or I would have resisted. I would have taken people who were Jewish into my home. And and that's great. So what's the opportunity to speak up, to show up, to take others into our homes, or if not our physical homes, into the home that is our hearts, and be with them and resist anything and everything that removes their humanity from them or denies their divinity. We get to choose, not ignore. And so if you're a leader in a New Thought spiritual community, if you're a leader in any church at all, whether it's New Thought or not, maybe this week you have the opportunity to ask others and to be in conversation with, hey, did you know about view in the Holocaust Remembrance Day. I just learned about it. And this is what I'm thinking about it. What could we do? What are the issues today that mirror what what happened with the Holocaust? Oh, well, what do we want to do or say about that? How do we want to educate people? How do we want to resist any inappropriate and ungodlike behavior? Have a conversation. And of course, do prayer work. Of course, do spiritual work. But don't stop there. I love this, Marjorie. In honor of leaders and followers, perhaps we cannot know how history will speak of us in our times. However, we do know what it means to live from a place of awareness of the right side of history. What is the spiritual side of history? What is the right side of history that will say in the future, 25 years from now, 80 years from now, that those of us who were alive in 2026, we made these choices grounded in or rooted in spirit and grounded by love. Now, I'm really aware that even talking about it like that, some people can hear that as, oh, you're putting pressure on, or you're trying to make me be political. And really, I guess my view about politics is, all of it, education, our political system, our churches, all of them, everything is just cultural systems that we have designed. We can design them, we can undesign them or change them. They're all systems that we create from our humanity often instead of from our divinity. And it makes sense. How do you have 8 billion plus people in the world? You have to have systems. And we happen to be organized by city or state or nation, right, or region. And so, of course, we create systems that have us agree about how we are going to behave with one another so that we don't have complete and total chaos. But they're just systems. And so it doesn't bother me to think about or talk about politics because we're the ones who have created the systems that we live in and that we allow to exist, grow, thrive, right? We all know of systems, political or otherwise, that are different from the way they were when we were young kids because masses of people said, hey, no, that's not the way it's going to be anymore. Or people who we have assigned power to decide, oh, no, we're not going to study this. We want our kids to study this. Or we're not going to spend money on this. Instead, we're going to spend money on that. So whether it's political systems, government systems, education systems, spiritual education and development systems, communication systems, right? They're just systems created by humanity. So if we don't like the system, it's our job to change it, to be part of changing it. And our spiritual grounding, especially in New Thought, this is what we teach. We teach, make a choice, set an intention, and co-create that. We teach, we have the power to change the outcomes by choosing different things and then living in alignment with spiritual law. We teach and we practice that we have responsibility for the choices we make. And all that is happening is choice or action and the consequence of that, right? So it seems to me that we are especially primed as people involved in New Thought churches to do that in our individual and personal lives and contribute to that shift in our collective lives and communities as well. So Holocaust Remembrance Day gives us an opportunity to learn something new or teach something to someone. It gives us an opportunity to recommit to our principles of love for all of humankind. It gives us an opportunity to remind ourselves of what we believe, that all there is God and nothing else, and everyone and everything created by this one creator source, that's one higher power, has been created from itself. So in fact, is a physical representation of the perfection of life. Are we creating the circumstances that allows that to play out in our human experience? Or are we supporting and being involved in creating circumstances and conditions which deny that truth? So that's why I chose Holocaust Remembrance Day to just spend a little bit of time on this week on the inclusive church. My name is Tracy Brown, and I am so delighted that you joined me live, or maybe you're watching the recording of this. And I want to invite you to join me every Tuesday at noon Mountain Time, right here on the New Thought Media Network. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for watching The Inclusive Church with Tracy Brown. Join us again next week at 12 noon Mountain Time.